Oh. Welcome back to the greenhouse. A lot warmer in here than it is out there. Today we're experimenting with some of our DIY foundry. We've been doing a lot of work in and out of the greenhouse. We've got ourselves a little foundry set up. We're using waste oil and some of our own DIY charcoal or lump coal to get it hot enough to actually melt those metals about 1200 degrees Fahrenheit or 600 some degrees Celsius. So that requires some serious heat to recycle these aluminum cans and melt all the ingots to repurpose them into something that we can use. So we've got a ton of DIYs with all of these. We've got ourselves some little aluminum bars. We've got aluminum round ingots from our muffin pan. We've got some DIY handles that we made ourselves. We're gonna come down and check all this out. We've got some stakes. Now we can pound this in the ground and it will hold all of our tarping in the garden and stuff. There is an absolute ton of things that we could be creating with all of this recycled metal for free. We're going to take this one outside and get it ready and show how we're doing this process. Now I've got to get back outside. I'm sweating in here. I'm prepared to be outside. Those negative temperatures have came back in and it's absolutely freezing out there today. We're sitting about 5 degrees this morning. It's probably up to about 10 now. Thought everybody would get a kick out of this little brick. We stamped our own little Earth Dwellers Homestead subscribe brick. We made ourselves these handles here that are able to roll around completely free. It's super strong and light. Pound for pound, it's got some decent durability and it doesn't corrode like normal metals. So let's make our way outside here. Coming right out to the kiln. Now, the fire's probably out. We still got hot coals in there from earlier. I basically shut it down, shut our fan off so I could show the entire process from start to finish. So we take ourselves a ton of pallets and stuff and we'll burn like 4 or 5 pallets and then we'll just douse them out and then break them up. You can buy lump charcoal just like this. This is just a little bit we had left over, relatively cheap on the off season, so we kind of stock up if we see it on sale. Because it is a pretty dirty, lengthy process, just tedious to be making our own charcoal, but I mean, half of a 5-gallon bucket will get us to the temperature where we're melting. We've got our own DIY tank. This was just an old refrigerant tank I pulled out of the dumpster. So it's got 2 valves. That little green valve is on and this little valve is closed. Now I just ran this in line so I could have ultimate control, just little drips at a time. Tapped out a little hole in the top, just big enough for a funnel so I can fill it up. It's about half full right now. Been experimenting with this and it works absolutely great. This new kiln we built here, we used all of our own bricks to fill the bottom out and it is working wonderfully. I just need to make a bunch more bricks, like the bricks up on our shelf. We need to fire these and fire harden them. They will resist the oil, they're waterproof, they resist the heat, they work awesome for the bottom ground layer and even side walls of your kiln. Let's take all the charcoal, bring it over here. We're going to basically load this little chute up. So looking from the bottom side here, you can see we've got our oil feed and our blower, and it is pretty well sealed up all the way around. So this whole front side is sealed, and then we're using this piece of metal to hold the top, a little bit of hole for exhaust. So this is what we're looking at from the top view with everything removed. So we've got our blower, we've got our oil feed right to the front, and we've got a little bit of smoke coming from hot coals, but this is what it will look like. We're just going to bury that crucible, get all of these glowing red hot. Should be enough to melt that aluminum quite easily, so let's get started. A bunch of free fire starter, pine needles, super dry. So we have ourselves a fire going. All of those pine needles get going pretty good, and our oil feed, we're going to just turn it half a turn, just a few drops from that every minute into the base of the fire. We're going to turn our blower on to really ramp that heat up. Got ourselves a nice 100-watt solar panel. Ran the lines down. So we've got our solar powered blower. We've just got it directly hooked up. This thing has a fuse on the fan so I don't have to worry about killing it. So 100% solar power. So while we're waiting for this to heat up, I want to talk about a few things and show the actual foundry methods that we're going to be pouring into here. So we've got some sand, and you can see this little handle. Now I'm going to make some handles. So I've got my little pour spot where it fills and then feeds in, and then it will fill up this mold, and then I can come by and just cut that off pretty easily. We've got our little graphite ingot maker or little brick maker. And I just wanted to cover real quick while that's heating up the process of oxidizing. So when you're melting aluminum, you've got clean aluminum and then you've got aluminum oxide. So when your melted aluminum comes in contact with oxygen, it reacts and it creates aluminum oxide, which is like a shell over it. So if you pay attention later on, you'll see the aluminum oxide forming, and we'll try and stir the melted aluminum to try and pick up all of this aluminum oxide and get it out so we can pour nice clean aluminum oxide up close next to the clean poured aluminum. Huge difference. So why do we have to use a kiln instead of just using a stovetop? Now, getting a stove to 1200 degrees is dangerous and it's hard to achieve. Most wood stoves are going to produce between 500 and 900 degrees if left unchecked. All the vents are open, all the dampers, and just let her rip like a rocket stove. And even then, you still probably won't be able to melt aluminum. Now you could melt lead or tin, which are like 400 to 600 degrees, and copper sitting at 1900 degrees, almost 2000 degrees. So aluminum sitting right in the middle, but it takes a lot of work and a lot of additional heat, a lot of fuel and extra air. So we're using that solar panel to be able to force more air in. We're gonna go check on this here. So just by simply using the solar panel, turning it into electricity to force more oxygen in and adding extra fuel, that thing is wicked hot. With the combination of our drip oil feed and the solar powered fan and one load of charcoal, we're able to achieve very high temperatures. We are going to be experimenting with copper next. I just want to seal the kiln up a little better. So we built a double kiln. This side is going to be for bricks here. We just gotta get a steel plate for the top with a nice hole in it. So we are sitting about 5-6 minutes in. Aluminum still has some good continuity to it, but I can see that it's starting to heat up down there. I don't know how well you guys could see the tip of the copper feed line. That was the waste oil feed line. The end of it is actually melted. So we're seeing temperatures above 2000 degrees. So that is a good sign for the future endeavors of melting copper. I might have to get some stainless steel for the actual drip line though. So here we are at 20 minutes right now. You can barely hear me because this thing is roaring. It's glowing red hot down there, the whole crucible. I can see that the aluminum's starting to slosh around a bit. This oil drip feed is proving to be quite useful for this system here. About 25 minutes. And we've got molten aluminum. Now we're right back out here where we started. Hopefully everybody enjoyed this little DIY video. It was pretty darn cold. It makes it hard to pour anything very fine. So The bigger the mold, like a big square, it's a lot easier to pour in a cold condition. And with the single digit temperatures we saw this morning, it took us a while to get the whole kiln warmed up before we actually started ramping up those temperatures. You don't want your concrete to explode. There is moisture in everything. You've got to vaporize that moisture. And I took advantage of the little bit of fire we had left. I added some more charcoal and I threw some of our own bricks in there. You see all of these orange bricks that we make ourselves. Got one right here. So we've got all these DIY bricks here, and we use those because they are waterproof and they are fire resistant. We're able to get these bricks up to a couple thousand degrees, so we're able to use them to set our 1,000-degree crucibles on till they cool off, let it radiate all the heat into the greenhouse. So all of these homemade bricks are very, very useful to us. Like I said, they don't break apart with moisture. They don't absorb moisture if you do them properly. So we're going to bring a video where we're making a bunch more bricks, and I may make some depressions in the bricks so I can pour my foundry, all of our metal, right into these bricks and duplicate the same thing over and over. Now, I made this video as a reference, so this is a reference back. I'm going to link this video whenever we have a video going forward. We're gonna make more tools, more bricks, we're gonna melt copper, we're going to make a bunch of bricks and brick molds, lots of cool stuff that really benefit us in the greenhouse. And it saves us a bit of money doing all of this as cheap as possible, free waste oil, solar power. It's a win-win. If anybody's got any questions, you guys know where to drop them. I want to thank you guys for checking this video out, and I will see you guys in the next one.